In life, we will meet resistance, which can leave us feeling worn down and worn out. But we can find a reason to keep going. Show up, push through, and never give up.
Hey everyone, my name is Milan and I'm a Roots intern this year. And I'm so glad you're here because it's our third week of our series called Never Give Up. And it's all about helping you become more resilient in life. So what exactly does that mean? Resilience is our ability to bounce back and grow stronger after we've struggled, failed, or faced hard things in our life. But before we talk about what this means specifically for you today, I want to take a quick poll. So how many of you think that most things in life are better with friends? I totally agree. I think there are some things in life that just aren't the same when you experience them by yourself. Like, have you ever tried FaceTiming alone? It's kind of weird, right? Or how about duetting something on TikTok with no one on the other half of the screen? It's a little odd. Or playing a game of football all by yourself? It's just impossible. So, when I was taking piano lessons, my piano teacher, Oscar, would give me simple pieces of music to read and learn each week at the end of our lesson. So they were pretty easy at first, but eventually they got harder as I kept learning. And one week he said, "I think you're ready for something more difficult." And I thought, okay, this shouldn't be too hard. Then he handed me a 4-page song that had a bunch of notes and a bunch of symbols that I hadn't even learned yet. And I thought, there's no way I could learn this entire piece of music in a week. That's insane. So I took it home and I ended up only learning about half of the first page on my own. And the rest he helped me through. And it was hard. But listen, we all know that some things just can't be done alone. But here's what I think is interesting. Even though we know it, we don't always live like it's true. For one reason or another, so many of us go through life alone. And you've probably heard people at school or online talk about the problem of loneliness in our world today. Maybe you've even experienced your fair share of loneliness along the way, or you're experiencing loneliness now. If you have, then you know it's a very real thing. In fact, according to a recent study, as many as 3 out of 5 people you see on a daily basis say that they're lonely. So when we see loneliness this way, it becomes really clear that loneliness is a really big deal in today's world. So that means that a majority of us feel like we're walking through life alone. We're trying to get through all the stressful events and difficult circumstances and hard days by ourselves. And nothing about that is easy. But I think part of the problem is we think that we have to do it all on our own. And I think that's why so many of us pull away when life gets tough. So when hard things happen, we feel like we have to figure them out all on our own. So we pull away from people who might be able to help us just to prove we can do it alone, or because we don't want to be a burden. We think everyone else has their own lives to deal with, so why would they care about ours? So we pull back thinking that no one would want to know. We also can hold things back from other people. Maybe we start hiding the stuff that's hard or difficult in our lives from the people closest to us. We don't open up in our small group or to our friends or our parents. We think admitting things that are difficult might make us look like we don't have it all together. We're afraid to show the world that we don't have what it takes. And sometimes we think that life has to be all about me. We think that no one will care about our problems more than we will. So if anyone is going to figure out a way out of the difficult stuff, it's us. We have to solve our own problems. We have to make it without the help of others. We have to rely on only one person, ourselves. And I know I felt that way before. Maybe you have too. And I don't know about you, but as much as I might believe that all of those things are best or true, holding back from other people, pulling away from people, and relying on myself oftentimes just makes things harder. It makes us feel even more lonely. It does the opposite of build resilience and doesn't help us find a reason to move forward. It can make us feel stuck. In other words, it just really isn't working for us. So what if the way to build resilience didn't just have to do with us and what we put into it? What if the key to getting through difficult times and choosing hope when things seem hopeless in our lives had something to do with the people we invite into the process with us? What if real resilience isn't something you can build by yourself? Today, we're going to look at an ancient example to help us with this. It's recorded in the second part of the Bible called the New Testament, which documents life during and after Jesus lived on earth. See, here we believe that knowing Jesus changes everything. And that's why we struggle with certain thoughts or ideas in our lives. We like to look back to the words and experiences of Jesus and people who were transformed by Jesus to help us see how knowing Jesus today can affect our lives. So today we're actually going to talk about a guy whose entire life changed because of Jesus. His name was Paul, and he was one of the most famous and influential Christians to ever live. He started many of the first Christian churches, helped train other leaders to continue sharing Jesus' message with the world, and wrote most of the first letters we find in the New Testament. So early on in his days of starting churches, Paul walked alongside of some of his buddies named Barnabas, Silas, and Mark. So these were really early Christians who helped spread the good news about Jesus, which was a huge mission. So they all knew working together was key. But at one point, Paul and his friend Barnabas got into a little bit of an argument. See, Paul was annoyed with their other friend Mark, who bailed on them during one of their trips. When he told Barnabas about his frustrations, Barnabas wasn't as understanding. Why? Because Mark was actually Barnabas' cousin. So when Paul wanted to tell Mark he couldn't keep traveling with them, after he bailed, Barnabas didn't like that idea. He didn't just want to leave his cousin behind. Paul and Barnabas just couldn't agree, so they ended up going their separate ways. Well, as time passed, Paul found himself in a pretty difficult spot. He was actually put in jail for teaching others about Jesus. Paul could have given in right then and there, and who would have blamed him? He was in jail and he was all alone. But Paul doesn't give up so easily. He actually wrote a letter to one of his friends named Timothy, and in that letter, there is one small sentence that tells us what Paul did instead. So let's take a look. 2 Timothy 4:11. Get Mark and bring him with you, because he is helpful to me in my ministry. I know it's simple, but don't miss this. In this letter to Timothy, Paul asked for Mark to come along. The very guy he refused to bring with him years before. The guy who bailed. The guy he didn't think would be all that helpful anymore. We don't know exactly what was going through Paul's mind, but it seems like Paul came to realize that whether through his circumstances or through Mark's own actions, that we need the help of other people. See, Paul was on a mission, literally, and he was trying to share the message of Jesus to as many people as he could. He cared too much about the mission to let pride or self-reliance get in the way. Maybe he even knew that without others, we are more likely to quit on the mission. And maybe in our case, it could be that other people help you pass that test, or deal with your anxiety, or navigate the loss of someone you love, or even grow in our faith. Our circumstances may look different from Paul's, but the point is the same. Letting other people in to help us is actually one of the ways we can build resilience. And that's why I want you to remember this. Never give up on others. No matter how difficult it can be to ask for help or let people in, no matter if we've grown up thinking that life is supposed to be all about me, no matter how many times we've thought that it's only up to us to get through tough times in life. If we want to keep going, keep growing, keep developing resilience, we need to never give up on others. Now, just so we're clear, we aren't talking about situations or relationships where others are harming us or others in any way. Not giving up on others does not mean staying in a situation or relationship where you're unsafe. And if you are in a relationship where that is the case, or where you aren't sure if that's the case, please talk to your small group leader or a trusted adult who can help you. What we're talking about today is choosing to not give up on others because we think we're better off alone. We think that we can do things by ourselves, or we don't think that we need others to help us. What Paul did with Mark was give him another chance, because he knew that there was more on the line than his pride. Paul cared more about the gospel than he did about past mistakes. So he didn't give up on Mark. The thing is, a lot of us have grown up thinking it was a sign of strength to deal with our life on our own. Or we've grown up feeling alone or not sure what good other people can bring. So it's important to know what exactly refusing to give up on other people can do for us. Number one, they help us grow. There's only so much that we can know or experience on our own, and other people bring their experience and knowledge to give us a larger perspective. They help us know things about ourselves, and they help us know things about the world and about God that we wouldn't have known without them. Other people make our world bigger. Number 2, they help us see the good. When life gets tough, sometimes there's nothing better than a friend who will remind us of all the good that's happening around us. Their perspective helps us keep going when we want to give up. The opposite is true too. We help our friends stay positive when they want to give up too. Friendships help us become more resilient. Number 3, they provide the support that we need. Sometimes we all just need someone to lean on. We need someone to laugh with or cry with or talk to. You know this because your friends need this from you sometimes too. Part of building resilience is more about becoming emotionally and mentally healthy. When we have people around us to support us through the ups and downs of life, they might encourage us to process our emotions in a healthy way, or even to get professional help from a counselor. All this leads to a healthier and more resilient version of ourselves. This is why we should never give up on others, because one of the best ways to build resilience is in relationships with other people. So what can we begin to do now to start allowing others to help us with this? Here are a few questions to ask yourself to get started. Number 1, what is happening? Maybe you're beginning to realize just how much you keep from other people, or maybe you're noticing that you don't have someone you're really comfortable opening up to. Take the time to recognize what's really happening when it comes to your relationships. Do you feel lonely? Have you been pulling away because you're going through something? Start by getting real about where you currently are when it comes to letting other people in. Number 2, what is true no matter what? So many messages around you will tell you that you can figure out life alone, and that's not true. We need other people. If someone as influential as Paul needed the help of someone else, it's safe to say that we all do too. So remind yourself of that truth. It's okay to need other people. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to lean on the ones who love and care about you in life. Their help might be the very thing that helps you become more resilient. So, number 3, what can you do? Now it's time to get to work. It might be awkward and it might be uncomfortable, but we have to reach out to other people. We have to take a step toward letting others in. Maybe it's a trusted friend or your life group leader or a parent. Start by sharing what ups and downs you're facing in life. Then, ask for their perspective on what you can learn, how you can grow, or what you can do to keep going, even when you want to give up. And remember, never give up on others, because having other people to support you and walk with you through life can make such a big difference in your life. It can help you be more resilient, not just today, but in the future. That's why I think God gives us other people to help us along the way throughout life. So let me pray. Dear God, I thank you for all the students that are watching today, and I just pray that you just give us the strength to have resilience and that we can reach out to other people even when it's hard or uncomfortable. And I pray that we can also be there for other people. And I pray this in your name. Amen.